Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Nexweave Show. A lot of you guys know me. My name is Bruce. And on that note, let's go ahead and bring in the two co founders of Nexweave, Indra and Ashtosh. How you doing
Hey
there,
guys,
guys? What's going on? Good evening to you. Good night to you.
certainly
Good night.
closer to good night over here.
And it's morning. It just started over here, 8 a.m. So Pacific over here in the United States, California. It's been a little bit, guys, that we've had our own one-on-one. I think it's been almost been like since maybe Christmas or a week after, and then last week was pretty entertaining where we had a lot of those founders who came together. So on that note, let's focus on Nextweave this week. Let's talk about some new updates and some new workflows and use cases that have come up in the past couple of weeks. So, Ender, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
So yeah, I think most of you must have seen some of the videos that we've shared on how Nextweave can integrate with various automation platforms. So the whole idea of doing these videos was to show people that when you integrate personalization with automation and then have an element of messaging, then there's a lot that you can achieve across platforms. Could be emails, could be chatbots, uh, could be messages on WhatsApp, etc., etc.
Right.
So while that's been happening on how we can expand the use cases, uh, we are also progressing forward with the roadmap that we had communicated. So very soon we will have the agency model out, where those who bought the agency plan will be able to uh, put in their own branding on the portal and start taking it forward. Along with that, we got in a lot of requests on how Nextweek can be used with a variety of email platforms, a variety of landing page platforms, chatbots, etc., etc. So while we are doing various activities with automation platforms to see how uh, these workflows can be put to use, we are also soon going to be giving the options within the platform itself where you'll be able to go ahead and select which platform you want to integrate with, and you'll be receiving instructions on how you can go and integrate that platform in a much more smoother way instead of how you're doing it right now. So just wait for probably a week or at best 2 weeks, given the kind of testing that we're doing, and then you'll have access to that particular module as well, and it'll be a lot more smoother to run campaigns or any sort of automation with the integration that we've done and the option that we provide.
Perfect. Perfect. Ashtosh, how you doing over there?
Yeah, all good. So the major thing, so most of the things India has already mentioned, but based on multiple requests that we have got, I think image editor is completely revamped. I mean, you will see a lot of new features coming up and very much smooth compared to what it was earlier. Text rotation, image warping, that 3D rotation, 3D warping, all is there, and it would be out in a week's time.
You said a lot of features are coming out. Besides agency model that Ender spoke of, what do you see or what feature is coming out soon that you're looking forward to?
So the major thing I would say is apart from agency is the editor feature and the campaigns feature. So with the campaigns, you would be able to easily integrate with 20 plus platform. So where people are doing a lot of manual work and all those things will be get automated with this release. So that is something which is coming up. And apart from that, this image editor, which has a major lot of feature updates over there.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. The editor. Perfect. Um, Ender, do we have a recap of maybe something recent that came out also in terms of the past previous, let's say the past 2 weeks that maybe we want to highlight or demonstrate for the community?
So in terms of the inputs that we received, there were obviously requests that we want to use it with so and so platform, but a few of the users came back to us and said that in the image editor we would want the text to be tilted a bit. They would want to have uh, 3D rotated images being shown if, let's say, the desktop screen on the image is slightly tilted. So that's where we went ahead and added those particular features. Uh, Besides that, we've just been getting more inputs from the individuals who've bought the platform to see what their use cases are, how they intend to use it. And that's where we're trying to understand that what is it that we could do so that the whole platform can be smoothened out. So another area that came up in most conversations was how can they run campaigns smoothly. So we are modifying that piece as well, where it would be more of a conversational flow instead of a option selection flow, where the users will be able to mention that, say, I'm doing a campaign which requires images as well as videos. So as a conversation, it will ask that, do you want to use the image as an embed in an email, or as an embed in a landing page, or as a social preview of a message on LinkedIn? Do you want to use a video on your custom landing page, or you want to use it on the standard landing page, or in case you've bought the white labeled option, do you want to use on the white label domain? So instead of it being a more technical solution, we'll now gradually move towards it being more of a conversational solution that will be rather easy for individuals to use.
Looking forward to that. I'm also going through here the list of latest announcements on the group. So I want you to keep going, but I'll talk about something here that I saw in just a second.
So I think one of the comments that just came up was regarding Google Sheet integration. And the interesting part is that in the new campaign flow, we're going to pick up options where you can either use a CSV method, uh, you can either use an option to use with the URL parameters where you can override them, and very soon there'll be a third option as well, which will be integration with a Google Sheet, so that you can use tools like Yam or something like that to run those campaigns.
That kind of reminds me of, and I'll even it out there. This kind of reminds me of using a Google Sheet integration of some of those group Chrome extensions, and that wouldn't be a bad way to also, do invitations to email lists or to specific purchases, because you would introduce, let's say, a customized coupon that the moment someone came into the group, you had a group Chrome extension, kind of like Collector, right? It collected the name, the email address, and then a copy went to the Google Sheet. And then from there, also the Chrome extension connected, let's say, that list into a or connected that email into a list of like your email news responder. But in the process, because it went through, let's say, the Nexweave Chrome extension, it would be great if it created the workflow of like, hey, I'm going to send a thank you that's personalized, and in it was like an e-commerce digital personalized coupon, right? That would be great since we already have a Chrome extension. If it was built into the group Chrome functionality or Facebook group, Chrome functionality that
Hmm.
we see in those types of tools, just so we could also be used as a community building tool also. So I was thinking to myself, oh, that'd be kind of interesting since we're already playing with Chrome extensions and we're already talking about communities. Anyways, it just seemed like a natural evolution of the Chrome extension.
No, in fact, we are looking at some of the options on how we can integrate with some of the social functions as well. Uh, to be honest, we've seen that yes, Google Sheet can then be a trigger as well. She's spot on. In fact, uh, this is one user who's been using the platform fairly well, and I would like to thank her because there are so many community comments as well where we might be delayed in responding, but she steps in and puts in her comments. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, she's our
And
brand champion.
and yeah, so coming back to how we are exploring various options. So we've seen that most of the Facebook forums typically send thank you messages every time someone joins their group, either on a weekly basis or something like that. So we're exploring what more can be done with these kind of social media integrations, so that maybe the thank you messages that are being sent out, they can be personalized or sent out in a particular way, or there could be Facebook lead forms that we could make use of and go ahead with them.
I'm going to put this out there. Miss Evans, if you'd like to join us, I'm going to go ahead and put a little link on screen if you'd like to come on camera. And right down there, guys, on the ticker tape on the very bottom, you'll see the StreamYard link. So I'm putting that up there for everyone who might be interested about joining us today. And just like what we do on our solo live streams, is that if you want to come on and talk about, let's say, your use cases, how you're using Nexweave, if you want to talk about certain questions about the platform, please come on. And in doing so, we will compensate you for your time by giving you a license for coming on screen. So appreciate that, and we're extending that out to you, Miss Evans, as well. There you go. All right. Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay. Sorry, Andrew, didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's perfectly fine. So I think as we tread along now, we are requesting some of our users to share how best they want to use the platform. We received some inputs that cold outreach is one of the top categories that people want to use the platform for, where they can send out hyper personalized images in their emails. Some of them also came back and said that we're using a combination of uh, emails as well as LinkedIn for cold outreach, where maybe they'll send a connection request and then top it up with some messages. So we've run some experiments on how we can sort of make it perfect in terms of how to send a video link on LinkedIn, but it appears with a social preview which is perfectly well done on a particular ratio. So we'll actually be coming up with a post on that, on how you need to use images which are of the 1.9 is to 1 ratio, which I used as a social preview. And when you use them and you send out a link to someone on LinkedIn, whether it's being watched on a mobile device or a desktop device, it'll appear perfectly fine. And it is actually a link to the video that you made for them. So in fact, Bruce, if in case I just sent you one, if you want to show users on how it appears on your LinkedIn panel, uh, I think the proof will be there in the pudding in that case.
All right, let me log in here. Jumping in. Here we go. And on that note, we also had our brand champion who did not waste any time, ready to join us, Miss Evans. If you're good to go, give me the thumbs up, and we'll bring you up on screen. Perfect. Here we go.
Wasn't quite ready, but we're good. We'll make it work. Hi,
That
everybody.
was perfect. That was perfect.
Hi.
Thank you so much for
So,
joining us.
first of all, love the product. Love it. It's so, especially since you guys started off with all the integrations, it really makes it easy to build some really great workflows. So I'm having fun figuring out different ways to use the product. One of the biggest selling points for me is that you guys focused on like Texall, which we use very, very heavily. So we were able to kind of integrate it in a lot of our outreach flows and things like that very quickly. So you guys have quickly become one of our very heavily used platforms. So just so you know.
Woo woo. Good to hear.
Yeah.
So
Great.
let's do this. One, let's talk about what kind of recipe you're using with Texel, and then two, outside of Texel, are you using Nexweave in any way?
Oh yeah. Okay. So honestly, I would love to use it in a lot of different ways, but we're currently in Texas. Our flows are so long, I can't even really explain it. But basically, we use it to kind of do complete like we in Texas we use. I'm sorry, there's an echo, so it makes it hard for me to focus. We use it to do kind of interaction with content and things like that, and then we do outreach after that. So it's just really, really, really neat to be able to kind of, interact with their content, turn around, send them a message, wait a few days, interact with their content, send them a video. Hey, would love to do this with you. Like, let's grab coffee, that kind of stuff. So we love the platform. Outside of that, we actually use it. If we have somebody who's shown great interest in our services, but they're kind of, teeter-tottling a little bit, we tend to send them a specific template that's like, hey, like, go ahead and go ahead and do it today, right? And in there, we actually have the link to their invoice that is already generated. So at the end of the video, it's a pay now button, and it works. I'm telling you, it works so well. It works so well. When we started doing that, we started noticing that within like 5 minutes of sending this video, most people would go ahead and pay, especially if they're that interested. You made it that easy. They're impressed by it, right? So they automatically are going to hit that button to see what it does, and then they're right there at the invoice. So then they pay it, and then there you go. So That's one of the interesting ways I started using it, but it's fairly new to me as well. So I'm sure as the product grows and it has more features, and I'm sure I'll find lots of different ways to use it. I'm 100% sure, actually.
We'd be interested to see if you could write up a blog, or if you could show us like a screen share or screenshots on
Oh,
the
absolutely.
workflow you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the videos, if somebody's a pretty hot lead, I think that's a great time to introduce something like that. If they can see what you can do for them, right? Because we're a marketing agency, so if they can see what you can do for them, it really kind of helps with getting them over that last bump in making that decision to go with us. So thank you guys. It's a really great platform. I'm excited for all the stuff you guys have coming on. So we're fully stacked over here with your product. So we want you to succeed because we bought like 25 codes over here. Okay, so please continue to develop the platform, and we're behind you 100%.
Glad to hear that. That's awesome news.
Cool.
I'm glad that we could also do kind of like this community showcase, because it's not too often that we have like major, not just testimonials, but it's like literally someone explaining how they're using it to the community, which is something that a lot of times people struggle. Like they'll purchase something and they don't know necessarily how to use it. You're addressing that, so I'll say I have to appreciate that, because it's one thing to say, "Look, I bought it and I'm using it." Another thing is to say, "This is step by step the tools that I'm using
Yeah,
to help
I'll
put it
send
into
some
place."
screenshots in the group so that you guys can kind of see. But I have Integrately as well, and that's kind of played a really good role in this. Connect it. I have that as well. So I'll send some screenshots and some suggestions on how the community can use them. Absolutely. But
And
yeah,
on
it's fun figuring out how to use it in the different workflows. To be honest.
and I think, yeah, connects it and Integrately, those two bring a different like level of interaction with the platform, only
Right.
because they're both like marketing automation platforms, which is going to be one of my announcements that I was talking with Indra a few minutes ago that I wanted to collect. So on that note, guys, uh, for those of you who don't know, about a week and a half ago, this was announced inside the Nexweave group that Nexweave now is part of the library of integrations with Connexit, Integrately, and Havely as of the 18th. So I don't think we mentioned that last week, but I just wanted to put that up there for everyone to see and for the community to be aware. We are connected up with all three of those teams. So thank you for bringing that up. You brought up a
You're
perfect
very
segue for
welcome.
me, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, the Google Sheet integration I was talking about earlier, because Google Sheets is, I mean, when you're talking about any of these integration platforms, obviously Google Sheets is a great trigger for anything. So it just makes it really highly customizable. That would, if you guys do that, it would make my life so much easier. Make my life so much easier, because that way you can include a link to a personalized video and anything. So that would be awesome, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
That's on the cards, like we said.
I'm gonna have
And
Ms. Evans. I'm gonna have you come with, because I got an invite from Inder, and so Inder was gonna show that
Okay.
that preview that shows up on LinkedIn. Let me go and share my screen real quick, and there we go. We'll zoom in here a little bit.
so, in fact, this is not an image. It's actually a social preview of a link. So that link is actually going to take you to the video experience which has been made for Bruce. So, Bruce, you can click on it and probably show Miss Evans on how it will continue the journey from that message to a video or a video landing page.
Sure, and just so let me go ahead and we'll move you up there. So just so everyone is aware, this is an actual preview. It's not a photo, but you can see here landingnexweave.io. If you have custom domains, it will show up here and in the blue font as well. But right, this is not a photo, not a picture. This is actually a preview based on the URL, right? So it'll actually have my name, my website, and the logo of the company right there. So we'll go ahead and click on it and go through the experience. There we go. There you go.
Are you struggling to get engagement from your emails and landing pages? 95% of users don't receive relevant.
So at the very beginning, you saw that. We'll go ahead and bring it up. My name shows up. I do have a little bit of an animation which doesn't really reflect that and it's not really captured there, but you can see it's the website that was pulled as well as the logo in question, right? So this is what a typical page is going to look like. Now, in the past, we've talked about building out the Nexweave pages further. Probably perhaps adding some background photos with some call to actions down below. Some of you guys may have seen it, maybe similar to like which was kind of popular with a company I helped launch about 2 years ago called Dub. Something similar to that nature, familiar with Dub, you would have like little buttons down below, maybe even perhaps a chat box, maybe even perhaps add a chat widget. Like here, you can see I have a little ClickUp widget. Imagine instead you had like a chat widget there or a bot widget. Those are things that we're thinking and playing with. Guys, let us know how would you like to see the landing page built out further. What is a higher priority? The interactions, the embeds with chat widgets, the call to action buttons, the customizing on the background. Ms. Evans, thoughts? What do you think about having this
I was
built
thinking
out?
the chat widget would be really, really, really nice, or any type of embed really would really kind of open up the entire space. Then that way we could kind of decide what's most important to us. So an embed would be probably ideal.
True.
Perfect. Point for embed. There you go.
So I think what we'll do is we already were having conversations on how this could be turned into a landing page with some text on the top, your logo embeds, your button embeds, etc., etc.
Even
So
like a booking calendar embed would be really nice.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe we will share some of our thoughts in terms of here are the options that the community can have, and then they can let us know which ones they want us to prioritize so that those are the landing page formats we can introduce first. And by the way, these links can also be carrying your custom domain as well. So since you max out your stack, you will have that facility that you can have your own custom domain in the links that you send me.
Thank you.
Indra, I'm going to put this out there on the player. Let's say if you're white label, is it possible to add like maybe the logo in the player too, like an extra layer of customization for agencies like Miss Evans' company?
So I think Ashutosh can take
So
that
like,
one because he's been experimenting on that.
yeah, yeah. So we'll be adding that. So the colors would be coming up very quickly, where you can have your own color icon for the players, and then logo also will be adding. So next, just to the before the volume button or just after the volume button, people can add their own logos over there.
Oh, just after the volume,
So it would
so
be like
kind of like right here
right,
between the slider and the full screen
correct.
enlarge button. Okay, got it.
So this
So
here
maybe
that
we'll
we
just
did for him, this LinkedIn, and with the preview, is that with the Chrome extension, or is this just how did
Good
this show up
question.
in his? Yeah.
Good question, Indra. How did you trigger this and create this specifically for me?
Sure. So what we've done is we created an image template first. If you're making it for LinkedIn, make sure that the aspect ratio is 1.9:1. Once the image template is done, we use it as the social preview for your video template.
maybe Andrea, if you want to just show it in one of the video templates, that would be great.
Absolutely. I'll just show you how it works.
This is so much fun with you on here, Miss
Oh,
Evans.
thank you.
You should join us more often. Be like, hey, I came up with a new workflow. Come on here for
Oh,
like
I
10 minutes.
trust
and show
me.
that.
I'm really good with workflows. It's kind of what I do it for a living. So yes.
We should have you. Actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea. We'll give you like your own little 5 minute segment every week, and you can
That's
say,
funny that the Cell Evans, because my name is actually Cell, so the Cell Evans segment, that'd be cute.
totally, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Bruce, I want an intro though. I want a completely custom intro. Okay.
Okay, no, we totally could, right? So it's funny that we were talking about Connexit. So something like this.
Yeah.
And instead we'll call that Cell Evans segment, something like that. We can totally do that. Absolutely. I'll even put that into place if you can actually say every week I will come up with a new use case on camera.
Okay, yes, I can do it. I'll do it.
Perfect. All right, there you go.
I'll do it. You have to tell me a time though, so I can put it on my calendar, because otherwise.
Yeah. So it's going to be either Thursdays at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Pacific.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I can do it.
So we're locking 5 to 10 minutes every session just for now.
Okay.
for
I'll
your
write it
use
down.
case. It'll be right. It'll be a community highlight for Miss Cell Evans every week. There
Yeah,
you
so
go.
I'll make it my job to come up with a new workflow every week for to show the community. So I'll probably ask for suggestions on what people are looking for because yeah, I need to prepare. I need to prepare on that one.
There we go. Cody, hey, thanks for joining us. Look forward to the white label features. Can you please list the functionality plan for white label? Um, well, I guess I can help answer that. So, besides having your own branded player, which we talked about, and then custom CNAME, we were talking about things like maybe perhaps a branded portal, like a login. Like it'll have your logo and your URL where people would log in instead of Nexweave. When you start doing your campaigns, you'll have additional branding options. So maybe you might have and we're not totally sure yet, but maybe a different custom domain with like maybe a few different campaigns as an option. Let's say depending on a client, things of that nature, right? When you're doing transactional emails, it'll come from your server, like as in your SMTP. If you have to send like a forgot password or an invitation to bring someone into your agency account, you're sending it with your G Suite or your Office 365 account to bring people into your custom portal. That way, all of a sudden they see a Nextweave invite and they're like, I don't know this company, and they just delete it or
Right.
send it to spam. That could be alleviated because it comes from your domain. If it's like Sell Evans Marketing, and that's the name of your white label account with Nextweave, and then they receive the email from Sell Evans Marketing in their email accounts. Okay, they understand that invitation is for me to collaborate with Miss Evans inside my campaign, right? I know that is an invite I should accept. Don't mark it as delete. Don't mark it as spam. Things of that nature. So
Okay,
good
so I
question, Cody.
have
Appreciate that.
I have a question as well, if you don't mind me taking a.
Yeah, please.
Are there any plans in the near future to integrate with like stock photos and gifs and all that stuff? So within because I missed the very like first 4 minutes, so forgive me if you covered this, but is there going to be a way for us to, from the actual editor, to be able to search stock photos, stock videos, and gifs to add into our personalized videos? Because that would make it so much faster.
That's the man to ask right there. There you go.
So in fact, we are having a discussion with a couple of stock photo and stock video platforms. We just have to figure out how the usability is going to work around on that aspect. In fact, one of the things that we took up last month is also on how you can resize the image canvas, because that came as an option from a lot of them in terms of whether it's a square one or rectangle one, etc., etc. So yes, we are discussing those things internally,
Good.
and we are discussing with the largest one. So hopefully it should work out.
Yes, because that would make creating templates so much faster.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, on that note, I'm sorry to deviate, Ender. So it became, me and the Sell Evans show for a few minutes there, and after we showed off your LinkedIn invite, let's go and continue off where we left off from, please.
Sure. So these are the bunch of image templates that I've created.
Sure.
The one that Bruce received is actually a version of this one. So this is the message that we are sending across. So this was the one that we were using earlier, but we realized that because the size is not exactly the one that LinkedIn requires, we had to make some changes in order to test that what's going to work perfectly fine with them. So the one that we've figured out that works perfect is this one now, where we have a 1.9 in terms of the width to 1 as the aspect ratio. And then this is, we created a quick campaign using this thing. And then from that, we extracted the embed code that can be used as the social preview for the video template. So to give you an idea, the video that we are using is this one. So this is the video that I'm using right now. If I go to edit, and if I go to the define meta section, you'll notice that I've inserted a piece of code over here, which is in fact the embed code of the image template. So if I pick this out and I remove these elements from over here, which we've added as URL parameters, if I just take this piece of code it is actually the same template that I had just shown you guys. Now this is with a custom subdomain, so you can have a look at that as well. So the way that you can orchestrate these is that in the template section over here, I have overridden the variable parameters by inserting that username needs to be picked up as the variable username, and the domain needs to be picked up as the variable domain. To give you a glimpse of how it actually works, if in this piece of code, let's say put this as cell, and then let's say I have nexweave.com over here, this image is going to be now swapped, and that's how you'll get it.
So now it's picking up the logo just off of knowing that it's nexweave.com.
Correct.
Oh, I love that.
So
Anything that's less work for me.
Right, but now you're doing personalized outreach, through LinkedIn. But Andrew, it looks like you did everything there manually. Is that what you did that for me? You actually went inside to the dashboard to send me that personalized video?
Not really. So once this template has been set up, if you notice, I have a campaign that I've created, which is the LinkedIn Outreach Optimized campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And this, in a sense, is just a video plus image campaign where I've connected the video experience with the thumbnail that I want to show. Now, when you're setting up the thumbnail, because it's a thumbnail for the video, you don't need to include the play icon. And when you're using the image template, the same campaign can also be used as an email outreach now. So when I insert this in an email, it'll give me the option to insert the personalized image, which takes the user to that particular video landing page. And once this is done, for those of you who've seen the Gmail plugin, I can demonstrate that as well.
Is that what you used with me? You sent it via Gmail plugin? Oh, no, you did it via... You inserted a link, but did you copy and paste the link, or did the Chrome extension auto-insert that?
Okay, let me show you the one. So I'm on Miss Evans' page itself. I'm going to send her an invitation message. So this can only work after you've already set the contact. So once she accepts my invitation and she is part of the contact list.
Oh, I didn't accept that. Hold on.
So you have to be an established friend. Okay.
Correct. So I think one of the things that most people are using in terms of cold outreach is that people don't like receiving a link on the first message itself. So it typically goes on with a softer request. And once they are part of your connection list, then you can send them messages. And that's when they are more reciprocative as well. So
it would be great if we could send them. It would be great if we could send them a video natively inside LinkedIn as a hello, welcome, and personalized instead of a redirect link to break that ice, and then to say,
right.
Hey, if you don't want me to send you links in the future, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to send you more stuff in the future. So in other words, let them say no, but don't send them to a link. Actually give them a legit video inside the DM of LinkedIn. That would be awesome. And a personalized video inside the DM.
Correct. So since the platform has been made in such a way that the videos are interactive, and because the chat functionality inside Facebook as well as LinkedIn does not support HTML right now, it will have to be done in this particular way. So that's a limitation that we have to live with right now. But let me just quickly show you how it will work once she has accepted the request.
I did. I accepted it.
Got it. So now when I click on this particular section over here and I invoke the same campaign, as of now, it has given us some options on what are the factors that we can pull out from the platform. So if I've made a template where I need to use her profile image, I can pick up this particular image and also include that in the experience. So instead of the logo, I can have her profile image appearing on the t-shirt of the beautiful girl over there. But for the time being, I can just pick up name from over here. I can just put in some domain. So for the time being, let me just say it's beckcomputers.com. And I can click on generate experience. So what it will do is it will show me how the video is going to appear for her. I can preview it over here.
Okay. On that note, what you just created right there, may I offer? Actually, we mentioned this once. I'd like to be able to download it, even if it's a little 480p version. Because if you could give me a 6-second video that I can download, then manually, maybe I don't mind doing the upload directly into LinkedIn for a new person who I haven't spoken to before.
Hmm.
Right? Then it's not a link. Yes, I may have to do it, somewhat of a pain by doing an upload, but it avoids the etiquette of, hey, don't send someone a link on the very first outreach attempt. Then it
So
will feel
that's
like they go ahead.
yeah. So that's a format that we will probably explore slightly later because, like I said, the way the personalization is happening on the platform right now is through use of overlays. So it has to be an HTML video.
I
What we're
get that.
referring to,
In order
yeah.
to use the full experience, you want them to use the player, which is
Hmm.
great. Once they give me the approval, I will send them to the link. But I could still, in the meantime, not annoy them by not forcing them to go through the Nexweave experience. I still want to be able to send them a personalized video, even if it's just a native video inside the LinkedIn player, right? I should be able to choose how I want to approach my outreach or my leads in the manner that I see fit. So if we want to keep the proper social media etiquette, it makes sense that, okay, maybe the first one becomes a video that you want to upload and not the actual link to not annoy them. Makes sense. We
Also,
don't
For me, I
necessarily
think
want to force them.
are we ever going to include images as well in here, or is it just going to be videos?
so. Images can be used even as of now. We don't have
Okay.
that in the flow that we see over here, but we've got those requests that we want to use images as well. So we'll be including those as well. So just to complete this particular workflow, once I have created
I
this
think
particular image, I can just copy
in a day or
this
two it should
particular.
be available.
Ashraf, we're losing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it could be available even in a day or two. So we've already just tested it, and we'll be publishing it. So even the videos, images will be there in the flow.
Great. So the team is already working on that piece. And as of now, that's how you'll get the videos over here. So the image comes in as a preview, and then you're prompted to click on it and see the video that's been made for you.
So I noticed we needed the domain in order to make this video the way it was based off the template. Will we eventually be able to have the domain there? Because it wasn't an option, obviously, to copy and paste on the left side.
So what's happening is that we're picking up information from your page itself. So we can extract the profile image, we can extract your name. We'll see in terms of what all can be extracted. If there's a way that we can extract your recent company, we'll probably start extracting those pieces as well. But right now, since we're using, so the logo that you see is actually the favicon coming in from your website. And hence we need the
Right.
domain name.
Okay, so I guess my question was more so, are we going to have more information there on the left eventually to be able to pick from?
Yes, and that's where we are going to be showcasing this to more people to get their inputs in terms of what else would you like to see.
Understood.
So that was one demonstration of how you could use that piece. Anything else that anyone wants to see, I'm happy to probably iterate the whole process once again if required.
The outreach that we do on LinkedIn, I always wonder if we could do it via Facebook Messenger inside the Facebook platform also. Just like you use a Chrome extension inside LinkedIn, is it possible to do that inside anywhere in Facebook? Just like, well, for example, right in the center, we see a big purple Nexweave button, right? And it looks like it's native in the platform when you have the Chrome extension installed. Is that something that could be done on Facebook in any way?
So the reason why we not really explored Facebook as much is because the kind of request that we received mentioned that most people are doing outreach in terms of using platforms like Gmail or LinkedIn. On Facebook, the same messages do render, but we've not made a Chrome extension specifically for Facebook as of now. But if that's something that many people want, then maybe we'll probably have conversations to understand what is the use case and the objective behind doing that. And then we can work on some examples of that.
Well, besides the Facebook one, and connecting it to a autoresponder, which to me just kind of makes sense. I have a lot of people approaching me, manually offering these services inside Facebook, just like they do in LinkedIn. So it just seems like the natural approach where it would be the second most used uh, type of organic outreach, even though it's done manually. If there was a way to include it as a campaign offering inside the Chrome extension, that would just make things so much smoother.
So I think Ashutosh, we've got something on our hands now. We'll probably have to see on how that can be done for Facebook as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of stuff happens in the Facebook inbox.
That we have seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one I'd like to see, and not saying that you guys have to do it, but the integration with BotBaba or Silverbots, where someone leaves a comment. And you guys know, for example, we do Facebook Lives, right? If we could tell everyone, hey, everyone trigger or hit the number one or the word one, ONE. And then if it would create a Facebook bot so they can either receive a comment or a DM from the Facebook page. And inside there, that already pulls their name. And then depending on the domain that they use for their email account, sometimes Facebook will provide that to you. So what you could do then is provide them with that Nexweave experience simply because a comment triggered that workflow to engage with that Nexweave experience. That would be another ideal one, especially for conversions or sales based on live streams.
So I
Uh,
just made a note of that. I'm going to take that to Pratik, who's the founder of BotBaba. Uh, for those of you who don't know, there's something that we're cooking with them in terms of what can come across as a combination of multiple platforms. So I'm going to just bounce it off him in terms of how we can probably make a showcase of that. And maybe our next live session can have this particular use case being showcased.
I did ask him, and he says that they don't have a full Facebook integration yet. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oops.
Silverbots was the closest one, that would have that comment trigger type functionality similar to ManyChat. So that would be a great partner to do, like Facebook triggers, Facebook Live triggers, things of that nature. But
Great. In that case, I think we'll have to have a word with Vijay in that case.
that and a YouTube bot. A YouTube bot would be huge, whether it be in the gaming community or in live streams that do sales. Oh, that would be huge if there was a YouTube bot that took a person's name from their YouTube profile and then sent them a trigger based on a specific word. And I've never seen a spot in the launch space. I've never seen a YouTube bot inside the launch space that works. They're usually mature platforms, and they probably evolved from a Facebook bot. But having a YouTube bot would also be interesting. Yeah, that would be cool.
Some cool ideas coming in over there from Bruce.
Well, you guys know me. I live in the live video space. It's like, great. How do we accentuate this further, where you can actually capitalize on more conversions, right? Because then you can reach out to more people at once. Otherwise, you're stuck doing everything manually, one to one, one to one, one to one. Great. Let me create an event. Let me make a big fancy deal about it. Create a Facebook event, create a LinkedIn event, and then you bring them to like something that's streamed. Like it doesn't matter, StreamYard or what Switchboard. It doesn't matter what the tool is. But the idea is once you're doing some sort of live stream like this, we can capitalize on those viewers because they initiated a comment that created a trigger that started an experience. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the interesting thing about Nextweave is that the flexibility gives you multiple options. So as long as we can get that data from somewhere and there is a way to deliver it, we can just slot in there and do that piece.
What's the key phrase that you said there, though? If there's a way to deliver it. Now it becomes on us to be familiar with the other tools in the market. If I didn't mention Silverbots, people are going to be like, what tool can we use for Facebook Lives? That becomes the difficulty is trying to find a tool like ManyChat, like Silverbot that would do that. If you don't know the tool, Like if you're a mainstream marketer and you're not living in the space, how are you going to know those are the two tools that you have to use to, create a Nexweave experience for Facebook Live? Hopefully, they have to just join the community and just ask the question there, and one of us will be able to answer. Myself or Miss Evans, one of us will
Right.
probably come to the rescue.
I'm here to help.
There you go.
Honestly, but it is exciting, all the different things, because actually, Bruce, that was a really good idea on the lives. Like thinking about being able to do that, you're on the live and have that automatically maybe send something into their inbox and it's ready to go. So it's actually a really neat idea. I love it.
I'm big on live streams and not webinars. Webinars are too formal and they're kind of segregated away from social. The idea is to make the live stream replayable, and so at any given time, and because we do get replays, right? Replay
Mhm.
viewers, you could still go through that same experience even if you're a replay viewer, and that lives forever, whether it be on a page, whether it be on a profile, whether it be on a group. Perfect. I mean, and it's just so much more. You can educate so much more as opposed to a live stream webinar. What's the benefit of a webinar? Cool, you capture the info. Okay. Well, maybe you don't care so much about capturing the info as you can more about impressions. Great. So you create an event, you create an ad for it prior to you doing a live stream. Someone emailed a massive list and they had their choice. They had their choice if they wanted to go to Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. But unfortunately, the only place where bots are prevalent are going to be Facebook and then YouTube second. But YouTube bots are kind of dying off. No one's really using them as much anymore because there's no Nextweave type experience.
Right. You could always send them a reminder. If you have them on your email list, you always send them a reminder. Hey, we're live now with a button to join. Watch now. I
Right.
love those at the
Uh,
end.
Well, I was talking about that with Indra. Anytime you have some sort of email broadcasting capabilities, having a personalized experience just increases the open rate of everything that you do. So think of
Agreed.
every time that you have to hit up your email list, you're running them through Nextweave first. So instead of your email rate being a typical 10, 12, 15%, now it's going to be 30, 40, 50%. Literally,
Right.
so that really amplifies everything that you do. Every email marketing automation that you have to push. So in a way, yes, Nextweave is perfect, ideal middleware to funnel all your contacts through Nextweave to enhance all of your open rates. Now, for me personally, I'd like to get into more text messages and then
Mm.
you know, associate with a name and then a text message, and then from there, because the open rate is really high. For me, it's about increasing more conversions. I don't mind paying more, a 3/4 of a penny for a Twilio text, or there's other cheaper people too, or cheaper providers. But having the ability to optimize SMS sales, to me, that's like, okay, that's going for the juice. That's going for the what is it, the jugular. That's to me what would be interesting because there's just so much more open rate. Now I can optimize the open rate with higher conversions and sales. That's
Agreed.
what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that point out because different geographies have got different sort of behavior, especially with mobile messaging. So in this part of the world, what we see is that SMSs don't work as much. So we're just exploring on how we can also use this for push notifications, so that you get a push notification on your mobile device that yes, the webinar is live right now and there's a personalized invite feed. And at the same time, I've heard from so many people on that side of the world that SMSs are still working very well. So uh,
It
good thing
probably
is that
depends on the country.
correct.
So, like for
Also,
instance, you could do an abandoned cart series, right, with a video, and then you could always do. I love my little call to action at the end. So, if you could find ways to automate and generate that, I'm sure you get a lot more conversions in all your stores.
Sell, I'm going to tell you this. Wait until the end of February.
Okay. now, now you got me curious. Awesome. I can't wait.
Ender, if you want to go ahead and you want to spill the beans, or do we want to have people wait until next week? I'll leave that totally up to you.
no, I think we should invite the person who's going to do it with us.
Oh,
Then
okay.
it becomes more exciting.
I totally agree, 100%. And then
Wait,
Cell, we'll
way to
have you
build
come
the
onto that too.
anticipation.
Well, that's why I don't want to spill the beans. Like me personally, I live on that side. It's like, oh, I just want to say it. I just want to say it, right? But I do have to give people a reason, just like a typical TV show or talk show. Tune in next time.
Gotcha.
On that note, guys, we'll wrap it up right there. Thank you for staying with us today. Everyone, keep social distancing in mind. Wash your hands. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys all next week. Thursday, either 8 o'clock or 9 a.m. Pacific. Just tune into the group and the page and find out.
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you next week with your use case too.
Yes, I'll be here.
You got it.
Bye, gentlemen.
See you.
Right.
Have a good
Bye.
one, guys.
Thank you so much.